even though basketball is somewhat becoming positionless now, I want to take a look at the 5 positions on a basketball court, Susie, and then kind of break down and give my top 5 all time at each position of the greats that have played this game. So, DJ Mikey D, why don't you hit my music?
Let's go.
Sir. Let's start off with the 1, and that's the point guard position. Now, I know I've been reading a lot lately, and I know there's a new crop of fans who believe that Steph Curry is the greatest point guard of all time. And for as great as Steph is, I just can't simply make myself say that anyone besides Irvin Magic Johnson is the greatest point guard to ever walk the planet Earth. I've got Steph there at number 2, the big O Oscar Robertson, who was before my time, all of our time, but we kind of know what he meant and what he did in this game of basketball. Isaiah Thomas is another one. I was looking at some lists earlier, Chris. A lot of people have Isaiah low on the list, but I got to go by what I saw. I saw this man give it to Michael Jordan in the late 80s and the 90s, give it to the Lakers, win 2 championships, 24 points in the third quarter with a busted ankle. Isaiah Thomas was a monster, and I'm not sure this man gets enough credit as the years go on, but he really deserves it. And then I got John Stockton there at number 5, because when you lead the NBA in all-time assists, all-time steals, you deserve a seat at this table. So those are my top 5 point guards of all time.
Yeah, TJ, looking at that list real quick, the top 2, I know when we talk about stuff like this, it's changing the game. It's changing the way it's played, and it's changing the arc of the position, right? Yeah. Point guard's always been thought of the little guy on the court, the distributor, get everyone involved, not really a scorer. Magic changed the game because he brought the size and the speed and the power to the position. Steph changed the game, stretching it out, becoming you can score and be the point guard. And obviously the way he changed the way we look at shooting now in the NBA.
Exactly.
Love that list.
Also, I sometimes say Steph may have been a detriment, because now everybody that touches a rock thinks they can pull up from 30. You can't. Not everyone can do what Steph does, but that's my list. Now, coming in at shooting guard, the number 2 position, this one, there's only one at the top, and that's Michael Jeffrey Jordan, in my opinion. But then we got the Black Mamba, Kobe Bryant. I got him at number 2. I got D Wade at number 3. And then this one was a little interesting, Susie, because I know you're friends with Jerry West. Now, throughout his career, he played both point guard and shooting guard. So I wasn't really sure where to put him, but for my purposes, I liked him at the 2. So I've got the logo Jerry West there at number 4. And I've got Allen Iverson, who, in my opinion, over the last 30 years, the most influential basketball player, if not athlete, that we've seen. Everything AI did you still have players today kind of following that AI blueprint with the braids and the tats and his swag and just everything about Allen Iverson, man. He's truly one of the greatest of all time, and that's why I have him in my top 5 of shooting guards all time.
And his love of practice.
Look, what do you need to practice for? He was already good enough. He didn't need to practice. All right, so coming in...
We're talking about practice,
not a game. All right, so coming at the 3 spot, that's the small forward position. Very simply, I've got LeBron James right now, the all-time leading scorer, the man who's in the argument for the best player of all time. I've got him as the greatest small forward of all time. Again, though, Chris, he's a guy who he fluctuates through positions. LeBron has played the 1, he's played the 5, but I think his position is the 3, so that's why I've got him there, followed by Larry Legend, Larry Bird, another guy who, as time goes by, I feel the younger kids maybe don't understand how great Larry Bird was. YouTube is there for a reason, people. Go there, watch the highlights, listen to the people, his peers talk about him. He could trash talk. If the 3-point shot was as prevalent then as it is now, who knows how many Larry Bird would have hit. But I've got him at 2, followed by Kevin Durant at 3, the good doctor Julius Erving at 4, and Elgin Baylor, I've got him as the number 5 small forward of all time.
I like this one a lot. I like this one a lot because you went so old school, because I can think of a lot of other names that might be on that list, but you dug into the vault. That was a really good one.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and obviously I'm biased toward Larry Bird, but to your point, just go on YouTube and listen to people tell stories about Larry Bird. Like if you watch Winning Time this year, when he showed up at Indiana State, because they were trying to get him to play, and he showed up in jeans and scored 40 on everyone. That really happened. He showed up in jeans, didn't change his shoes, and dropped 40 on everybody and was like, cool, am I on the team now? You really want me? All right, I'm going to do it. Just listen to everyone tell the stories about Larry Bird.
And Larry Bird was huge. He was 6'9". He just... I mean, a phenomenal player. I hated him, of course, growing up because I was a Sixers fan, but Larry Bird was that dude.
And just listening to Bob Cousy calling those games, I mean, that is the best and the worst of a Boston accent all in one.
All right, so now we're going to move to the 4. That's the power forward position. This is actually, you guys know I met Michael Jordan back in 2012 at his golf tournament the night before we were in a casino. I'm standing outside of this little room by myself in the hallway, and I turned, and there's Michael Jordan standing right next to me. What do you say to this guy whose pictures you've had up on your wall, whose shoes that you wear on your feet? I just turned to him and went, hey, Mike, who do you think's the greatest power forward of all time? I mean, that's how our conversation started. He gave me his pick. He told me Kevin McHale.
Huh.
I told him mine. He goes, oh, yeah, okay, I can see that. My pick for the greatest power forward of all time is Tim Duncan. I mean, the guy just... offensively, defensively, 5 championships. He did it with class. He wasn't flashy. A lot of people didn't like him back in the time because he wasn't on SportsCenter highlights, but that's why Shaq called him Big Fundamentals, because he did everything right. If you're over 6'8", there's a glass, that little square above the rim. Use that. It'll help you. Trust me. That's why Tim Duncan's number 1. Then we got Karl Malone, just a long career. He was always efficient, Chris. He was always near the 25-point, 12 rebound mark for the meat of his career.
Yeah, the postman always delivers.
The
right.
Postman always, the mailman always delivers.
Not on Sundays.
Now, here's where it gets interesting, because I grew up, Charles Barkley was my second favorite player of all time after Dr. J. But as I'm doing this list, I really had to sit and have a talk with myself and understand that Charles Barkley, I probably got to put him at 6. I can't put him above Garnett and Nowitzki simply because those guys won championships when Charles did, and it pained me. And I wanted him at 5, but Giannis walks on the planet Earth, and he plays the 4th spot, and he's only going to go up higher on this list the more successful he is. So with all due respect to Charles Barkley, like I said, this was hard. I couldn't put him in the top 5. Duncan, Malone, Garnett, Nowitzki, and Giannis right now are my top 5 power forwards. He's done it with 2-time MVP, Rookie of the Year, DPOY, won the ring. You can't deny what Giannis has done and brought to the game. And then we're going to move to the number 5, the center position.
Oh, boy.
This one was tough.
Tough
well,
one.
but there's a guy who doesn't get enough love when you talk about all-time GOATs, and I'm talking back to his high school days, I'm talking through his college days, and I'm talking through his pro days. He sat in that chair. His name is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I feel he is the greatest center of all time, followed closely by Wilt Chamberlain, who's another athlete that was before his time. I don't think people really understand. The man averaged 50 points a game. That means on any given night, he's going to give you 50. Think about that. And he also led the league in assists one year. Wilt Chamberlain was amazing. Then you got Bill Russell with the rings, of course, 11 rings, the greatest winner of all time. We've got the Diesel, the Daddy, the Shaq. I've got him at 4. And then we've got Hakeem Olajuwon, who there was a stretch there where I would say he was probably the best player in the NBA around the mid-'90s, especially those 2 years that Jordan was gone when the Rockets won the championship. So I've got Hakeem at number 5. Those are my all-time top 5 at each position. As always, I wonder what the people think. And you guys as well.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.